First impressions matter. At the start of your story, your audience is looking for any excuse they can find to get emotionally invested into it. If your characters are disappointing and forgettable right at the start, it's going to completely ruin any chance of their immersion. And if that happens, there's no telling if you'll be able to recover their interest. In this lesson, I'll show you how to get off on the right foot with your story and give your audience the experience they deserve. Now, an introductory scene should display who the character is, who they are, what they do, what their personality is like. There's a pretty decent chance that this is the only scene somebody is going to see of your character, whether you're doing it through some sort of visual medium, film, television, whether you're doing it in a video game or in a novel. So you're going to want to wrap this scene up in a nice bow, make it tight and concise, and leave them with a good idea of just who that character is, even if they only see this one scene of the character. Just like with most other types of scenes, it should be its own contained story, and it should stand on its own 2 feet. You are making promises and you are setting up, and at a later time will be the payoff. There will be some payoff in this one, but you're also setting up payoff that'll happen far in the future. An introduction scene that's been used in writing classes since the 70s and 80s is the first scene in The Godfather at that wedding. Now, it's like a cold opening. If I recall correctly, it starts black and it's just audio. It is the Undertaker kind of waxing poetic about justice and how he believes in justice and America. Now, there's subtext in this for dialogue, note for everybody. He doesn't outright ask for this favor. He gives a big, huge preamble to it. But this is Don Corleone's introduction. We see him sitting in the back of an office. It's a fancy office with thick, expensive wooden desks and stuff. He has a bunch of people all around him, lurking in the shadows kind of thing. He's petting a cat, playing with it. And this guy comes up to him and is sort of doing this big monologue while he listens, like quite calm, interested and disinterested at the same time. He's petting a cat. And then this guy tells him, hey, this is what happened. These guys did some things to my daughter. I went to the police. They are not giving us justice. And so I told my wife, for justice, we go to Don Corleone. Now, this introduction, Don Corleone, he keeps calm. He doesn't give any sort of big reaction, but his words carry a lot of weight. And he calmly says, the father's basically asking Don Corleone to kill these guys because they got away with it, right? Don Corleone says, hey, look, this isn't actually justice that you want. Your daughter's still alive. If I do what you're asking, they're not going to be alive. And, you've done me a great personal insult. You go to the police instead of me. You know that I would handle things like this for you because you're my friend. If you came to me in friendship, this wouldn't even be an issue. That this would have been solved a long time ago. And he is the godfather of that daughter. And he says, you don't even have the respect to call me the godfather, right? So the Undertaker, asks him more directly to bring him justice in whichever capacity he sees fit. Says please, calls him the godfather, kisses his hand. And everybody's around watching this silently the whole time, kind of staring at the guy and keeping completely quiet. Now, what do we know about this? What do we know about Don Corleone when we see this opening scene? Well, we know he's a powerful person. We know he is the boss of or in charge of a lot of people. We know that he has money and luxury. This is the day of a giant fancy wedding that he's throwing for his own daughter. And it is established a little bit after this that the sort of stereotype is that if you ask an Italian guy for a favor on his daughter's wedding day, he can't say no, right? And yet, Don Corleone does say no to the original request and redirect it to, I'll do this instead. He also, he's doing it. He's looking out for the guy, he's looking after him, but he is really hammering home, hey, this is supposed to be friendship. I haven't seen you for years. You haven't invited me over for a coffee, even though I do have the title of godfather to your children. This is not about friendship. Be a friend to me. And then after he eventually does decide, hey, I'm going to do this amended request, he does say, I will maybe call you for a favor one day. That day might never come. So after watching this, we do understand he is, even though he's very powerful, he is a negotiator, he is a thinker, he maneuvers, and he politics, but he does it in a very direct way at the same time and a very respectful way at the same time. The scene makes it feel like he's the kind of person that can have anything done whenever he wants. Now let's contrast this with the introductory scene for Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, right? We have this opening for the movie. Jack Sparrow's at the top of a mast on a ship, standing in one of those like little basket things at the very top, wind blowing through his hair, nothing but open sea around him. He looks ecstatic. He's having the greatest time in his life, looking out over everything as he passes by. And then the camera zooms out and it shows, no, the ship has fully sank. It is underwater aside from the very top of the mast where he's standing. And then he steps out casually to the dock and starts walking as the ship sinks the rest of the way. This alone shows that he's a pretty nonchalant person. It establishes the mood of the film too. Very clearly a comedy. Very clearly not an overly serious person. Doesn't care about the ship. He's kind of a screw up, you can tell by this. No pirate wants to come in on a sinking ship, yet there he is. And then he walks up on the dock and he is instantly met up with by government officials who want to arrest him. And they're saying he is the worst pirate they've ever heard of, and that he's basically a loser, and that nobody respects him. And his response is, but you do know about me. So you can see right there the insults and whatnot. They're not phasing him. He doesn't care what other people think. He's just doing his thing. And, it's kind of, in his point of view, his world, and everybody else is just existing in it around him sometimes. Every single minute, basically, of the rest of the Pirates of the Caribbean series goes to show, yes, this is true and accurate. This is a full-blown representation of who he was, and we captured it in a neat little snapshot right there for you to see. If you only see these two scenes and nothing else for either of these movies or series, You do understand who the person is, but furthermore, these are self-contained stories and they leave you wanting more while making you satisfied with their execution as is. Another good example is The Dark Knight. The opening scene is a bank heist with a bunch of goons that are wearing clown masks, and they go in. They're doing this very intricate, multifaceted uh, heist that involves zip lining from like almost a block away with how far those two skyscrapers are. They're doing all this high tech hacking to get in and bypass the security system. There's multiple teams. There's another one on the ground that is in the lobby with all the tellers, with the manager. They're trying to get all the information they can and make sure that nobody's able to call the police or anything. And then you got that small team that's cracking the safe and all that, drilling through. They're the ones actually getting the money. Now, throughout this whole thing, the the people implementing the heist are waiting for somebody to be done their job, and then the second their job is done, they kill them, right? They shoot them in the head or wherever and just kill them by any means. Doesn't matter how, as long as they're dead. It's one less share to split through. All the surviving people are going to get way more money because of that. And it has to be done with the perfect timing. And then at the end, there's only two guys left, and they are ready to escape. But the one character says to the other, "I bet you've been told to kill me," and pulls a gun at him. And the guy that doesn't have the gun out, or at least leveled, says, "Oh no, I wasn't told to kill you. I was told to kill the bus driver. I don't even know what you're talking about." And then the guy with the gun says, "What bus driver?" And then a bus smashes through the wall of the bank at the exact perfect time and runs over the guy with the gun, killing him. So this one remaining character from the heist loads up all the money from this heist, goes into the bus, and the bus driver's like, "Wait, where are all the other guys? What's happened here?" Because he was expecting a full load of people in the bus. This dude that gets on the bus after loading the money takes off his mask and shoots the guy, kills him, and it is revealed that he is the Joker. Uh, Now, it has been a few years since I've seen the movie. I might be misremembering the exact order of events and stuff and exactly where and how they happened, but this is, spiritually like mostly what happened, right? And right there, it shows who the Joker is, what he does, the kind of guy he is, and the rest of the movie continues to prove and reinforce what you've already seen. And he also lies a lot. And for example, he says, "Do I look like a guy with a plan to you?" And it's like, dude, you just organized this ridiculously complex heist at the start of the movie, killed everybody at the perfect time, backed up seconds before a bus that you couldn't see, smashed through the wall and killed the other guy, and you got away without being caught. Like, yeah, you're a guy with a plan, you're a thinker, you just don't like to present yourself as such. And those are some subtle things about the character too, because most people see the do you think I look like a guy with a plan part, and they're like, yeah, no, he's kind of crazy and wacky and just doing whatever. And it doesn't even fully register sometimes that he's literally probably planned out the whole movie from the start, and it just in certain spots doesn't go exactly the way he wanted to. Now, your introduction doesn't have to shackle you, right? You don't have to treat it like chains and try to capture this exact vignette of a person over and over and over again, because your characters will likely grow throughout your novel, script, whatever you're writing, and they will change slowly in certain ways, quickly in other ways, and they will have relapses of being who they were before they changed. So this isn't supposed to be a set of laws. This is supposed to be a sort of spiritual showing of who they are. Even if your character doesn't change throughout your whole work, the person, your audience, will see things that reframe their understanding of this character, even if they don't change at all, right? Like, even if your character's been this person the whole entire time, there is context that can be revealed that will sort of change the way people perceive this character who hasn't changed. Now, if you want a way to practice, do your best to come up with some characters and write a couple of introductory scenes for them. Have some fun with it. It doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. You know, it could just be like a 1 or 2 page type of project if you're looking for a way to implement what you've learned today. In the meantime, if you have any questions, leave some down in the comment section below.